There's a good chance you've heard of MSG, the abbreviation of monosodium glutamate. Maybe you've spotted those 3 letters on the back of an instant noodle packet, or heard someone whisper that it's something you should avoid in Chinese food. For decades, MSG has lived a double life. To some, it's a harmless kitchen staple that makes everything taste amazing. To others, it's a mysterious chemical additive, blamed for headaches, dizziness, and even worse. But what is MSG? And is it truly bad for you, or just a misunderstood victim of food folklore? Today, we're unpacking the real story behind MSG, where it came from, what it actually does to food, and what science has to say about it. Welcome to Secrets of Simple Things. I'm Frank, and my pleasure to help you uncovering the truth behind one of the most controversial ingredients in modern food. Yes, it is MSG, safe or dangerous? The truth revealed, right here on Secrets of Simple Things. Hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep these stories coming. So, what exactly is MSG? MSG, short for monosodium glutamate, is a flavor enhancer, a white crystalline powder that looks almost identical to sugar or salt. Chemically, it's a combination of sodium and glutamic acid, one of the most common amino acids found in nature. You'll find glutamates in all sorts of foods we already love: tomatoes, mushrooms, Parmesan cheese, soy sauce, seaweed, and even human breast milk. Here we have a fun fact. When you savor a slice of pizza or sip on a rich tomato soup, that mouth-watering depth you feel? That's glutamate magic at work. Glutamate is the key to umami, the 5th basic taste that sits alongside sweet, sour, salty, and bitter. Umami, a Japanese term meaning pleasant, savory taste, gives food that irresistible depth and warmth. MSG, in essence, is just a concentrated way of adding umami. It doesn't cover up flavor, it enhances it. A savory discovery from Japan. The story of MSG begins in Japan. Back in 1908, a chemistry professor named Kikunai Ikeda was enjoying a bowl of kombu, seaweed, soup when he noticed something unusual. The flavor wasn't quite sweet, salty, or bitter. It was deeper, more satisfying. Intrigued, he took the seaweed back to his lab and, after some meticulous experimentation, managed to isolate the compound responsible: glutamate. Ikeda then combined it with sodium to make it stable and easy to sprinkle on food, and voila! Monosodium glutamate was born. In 1909, he patented his process and sold it under the brand name Ajinomoto, meaning the essence of taste. Within a few years, MSG was making its way into home kitchens, restaurants, and eventually, the global food industry. By the mid-20th century, it was a secret weapon in everything from ramen seasoning to canned soup and potato chips. Soldiers during World War II even noticed that Japanese rations tasted better because of MSG. Why does MSG make food taste so good? Here's how it works. MSG activates taste receptors on your tongue that specifically respond to glutamate. These receptors send signals to your brain that say, "This food is savory and delicious." That's why MSG can make broth taste richer, vegetables feel heartier, and meat seem meatier, all without needing extra salt or fat. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. MSG might actually help you eat healthier. Why? Because gram for gram, MSG contains about 2/3 less sodium than regular table salt. While table salt is 39% sodium, MSG is only about 12%. Now here's where it gets interesting. When MSG is blended with a little salt, it doesn't make food taste less salty. Instead, it enhances the overall savory flavor through that umami effect, making dishes taste just as satisfying, sometimes even more so, with less actual sodium. Several studies have shown that combining a small amount of MSG with reduced salt can cut total sodium intake by as much as from 30 to 40% without anyone noticing the difference. Imagine that. Your favorite soup, stir-fry, or sauce tasting just as rich and full-bodied, but with nearly half the salt. Food scientists and chefs have been quietly using this trick for years, especially in hospitals, school lunches, and even restaurant chains aiming to reduce sodium without losing flavor. So ironically, the ingredient once accused of being unhealthy might actually be a key tool in making our diets better, flavor-forward and heart-friendly. Think of MSG like a highlighter for food. It doesn't change what's on the page, it just makes the best parts pop. So where did the bad reputation come from? Enter the late 1960s. A single letter published in a US medical journal described something called Chinese restaurant syndrome. The author claimed he experienced headaches and numbness after eating Chinese food and pointed the finger at MSG. The media ran with the story, and suddenly MSG became the villain of the dinner table. Restaurants proudly advertised "No MSG" on their windows, and entire cuisines, especially Chinese, were unfairly stigmatized. But here's the truth. The letter was not based on scientific research. It was purely anecdotal. When real scientists put MSG to the test, the results didn't back up those claims. Most people showed no reaction at all unless given extremely large amounts on an empty stomach. Over the next few decades, countless studies were conducted. The verdict? MSG is safe for the vast majority of people. Organizations like the US FDA, the European Food Safety Authority, and the World Health Organization all agree MSG is not a health risk when consumed in normal amounts. The cultural side of the controversy. The MSG panic wasn't just about health, it was also about prejudice. The Chinese restaurant syndrome narrative unfairly targeted Asian communities, fueling stereotypes about their food being unclean or unnatural. Meanwhile, American brands were quietly using MSG in chips, soups, and frozen dinners without much backlash. Historians now view this episode as a case study in how racism, misinformation, and fear of the unfamiliar can distort public perception. As chef and author David Chang famously said, "If MSG is so bad, why doesn't anyone get headaches from Doritos?" How the MSG industry fought back. When MSG's reputation began to crumble in the 1970s and 80s, no one felt the impact more than the companies that made it. The biggest of them all? Ajinomoto, the very brand founded by Professor Ikeda himself, the birthplace of MSG. Imagine spending decades building a global reputation as the essence of taste, only to wake up one day and find your product suddenly treated like poison. Supermarkets dropped it. Restaurants hid it. Consumers recoiled from anything labeled MSG. So what did these companies do? They didn't disappear, they adapted. At first, MSG producers tried to stay quiet, hoping the storm would pass. But as the negative press grew, silence wasn't an option anymore. Ajinomoto, in particular, realized that this wasn't just a marketing issue, it was a battle for truth. They launched a series of public education campaigns in Japan and abroad, emphasizing one simple fact: glutamate is natural. Their message reframed MSG not as a chemical additive, but as a purified form of a flavor found in everyday foods, such as tomatoes, cheese, and mushrooms. They even highlighted that the human body can't distinguish between glutamate from seaweed and glutamate from MSG. But perhaps their boldest move came decades later. In 2019, Ajinomoto launched the campaign Redefine CRS, a direct reference to Chinese restaurant syndrome. Instead of avoiding the controversy, they confronted it head-on. The campaign called out the racist undertones of the term and invited food experts, chefs, and even neuroscientists to publicly debunk the myth. They didn't just talk, they collaborated. Ajinomoto worked with influential voices like Chef Eddie Huang and food scientist Harold McGee, turning social stigma into a cultural conversation. Their videos and ads reframed MSG as what it truly is, a seasoning that enhances joy, not guilt. Other brands followed suit. In Southeast Asia, Vaidan, Miwan, and Aone released marketing that focused on balanced nutrition and family cooking. Instead of scientific jargon, they leaned into emotional storytelling, showing smiling mothers using MSG to bring warmth and harmony to home-cooked meals. Slowly, public opinion began to thaw. Chefs started speaking up. Food journalists wrote new pieces correcting old myths. And through it all, Ajinomoto, once the target of fear, became the face of redemption. It took over 100 years, but MSG's creators managed something remarkable. They didn't just reclaim a product, they reclaimed trust. From a seaweed soup in Tokyo to pantries across the world, MSG has had quite the journey. It's a story about science, taste, and how misinformation can linger long after the facts are clear. So the next time you enjoy that perfect spoonful of ramen, a crispy bag of chips, or a rich tomato pasta, remember, you're already tasting MSG in action. That the three letters show not a monster in your meal, it's the reason your meal tastes so good. And each time, add a little MSG to your meal. Feel free of guilt. Thank you for watching Secrets of Simple Things. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. See you next time on our next deep dive into the everyday subjects that shape our world.